today's adventure of the Southern Ghost, we're going out to Gluckstadt, Mississippi to visit a grave of Henry Vick. Come along for the ride. Hello, it's Gray from the Southern Ghost. Hope you're doing good today. It is August 22nd, 2025, approximately 2:25 in the afternoon. And we are going to go out to the Chapel of the Cross out in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. And there's a local folklore about a man named Henry Vick. All right, here at the Chapel of the Cross, erected in 1850 to 1852 at Annandale Plantation, Margaret Johnstone as a memorial to her husband John. The structure is an outstanding example of 19th century Gothic Revival architecture. And we're out here on the Annandale Plantation outside Mansdale. Show the history and lore of this church. Come along with me. Now, some places hold more than history. Some hold love, some hold tragedy, and even ghosts sometimes. I'm out here in Mansdale, Mississippi on the Annandale Plantation in Madison County, Mississippi. The Chapel of the Cross is right here. Now, it's stood here for the last 170 years almost. It's a place for worship, a place for memory, and some say a place where the past refuses to rest. The story begins with a guy named Johnstone, who left North Carolina to settle in Mississippi in the 1820s. Now, he purchased with his brothers over 500 acres of land. And named his plantation Annandale. The reason why he named his plantation Annandale is because he was from Scotland, and his plantation there was named Annandale. Now, in 1841, John and his wife, Margaret, moved here with their daughters, Frances and Helen, when John died at the age of 47. Now, Margaret buried him in their garden, but pressed on with her dream, a chapel. She hired English architects Frank Wills to design a revival masterpiece. Its bricks was handmade by enslaved workers, but the local clay. Its beams cut from the Annandale oaks. By 1852, the Chapel of the Cross was completed. It quickly became a sacred place for worship for both enslaved and free people alike. Now, in 1857, Helen Johnstone, the youngest daughter, became engaged with a man named Henry Vick, heir to the founder of the Vicksburg city nearby. Their wedding was set for May 21st, 1859, waited for Helen to become 18 years old. So invitation goes out, her dress is all ready, the chapel is awaiting for the joyous day that would never come. About a week before the wedding, Henry decides he wants to go down to New Orleans to get some new suit for the wedding, some furniture maybe, some just shopping in general. And he goes to a local pub there and meets his childhood enemy. His name was James Steele. Some harsh words were exchanged. And Steele called Henry no gentleman. Back in the day, the Southern culture, that was a bad thing to do. There was only one way to settle this, and it was a duel. And back in those days, dueling was a way of honor. Now, New Orleans, they took dueling really seriously, so it was a lot of things they had to do. So they decided, hey, we're going to Mobile, Alabama, and we're going to settle this, because that's the only place where they could duel without being arrested. So on May 17th, 1859, pistols were exchanged and raised. Henry remembered his promise to Helen and had sworn never to kill a man. When the signal came, Henry lifted his pistol and shot up in the air. Seth didn't. He directly shot him right in the head, striking his forehead. The groom-to-be fell dead instantly, just 4 days before the wedding. Here's the grave of John T. Johnstone and his wife Margaret. John T.'s one from North Carolina, named the plantation Annandale. And here lies for Henry Vick. The empty plot right here would be where Helen would have been buried. It was cut short by the duel of Henry Vick in Mobile, Alabama. Now, Henry's body would be returned to Annandale on May 21st, the day that was their wedding day. So, the day of the wedding, the date set for the wedding, Helen brings the body back here to be buried. And it was at nighttime, and a torchlit procession carried the coffin to the chapel. Bishop William Mercer Green had prepared a marriage service, but instead at midnight, he read the burial of the dead. Helen stood where she should have been a bride instead. She was a mourner. Henry laid to rest in the chapel cemetery on the day their wedding should have been. Now, every night, every day, Helen would come and sit on this bench right here to talk to Henry, who was buried right there. Now, Helen never recovered from the heartbreak. She returned again and again to Henry's grave, weeping and speaking to him, brushing the leaves away from his headstone. Though she eventually remarried, she was not buried here. But many say her spirit never left. Now, sometimes they say that there has been apparitions up in these trees right here, just sitting next to each other. And as you look up, they're looking down at you. But she says she's supposed to haunt this area wearing a mourner's dress, looking for a long-lost love. But she did get married and was buried up in North Mississippi. So visitors to the chapel and cemeteries claim to see ghostly woman mourning with the clothes, or even a wedding gown, kneeling by Henry's grave. She brushes the leaves away, traces his name on the stone, and vanishes in the night. They call her the Bride of Annandale.